Before we dive in, we've got an absolutely incredible announcement. MineStock Pro, the professional mining stock research platform we use for all of our analysis, is offering free lifetime subscriptions to the first 100 users. That's right, free forever. Head to MineStockPro.app to claim your spot before they're all gone. Now, let's talk about the stock that scored higher than every other stock on the platform.
So what was that score? It was a 90 out of 100. I mean, that's a stellar score for any company, right? But here's the kicker. This wasn't just a high score. Out of every single stock on the MineStock Pro platform, all 78 of them, this one was number one, the absolute top of the list.
And that just immediately makes you ask, okay, why? What did the MineStock Pro algorithm see in this one company that put it head and shoulders above literally everyone else? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack in this explainer.
All right, so here's the game plan. We'll start with how we found this thing in the first place. Then we're going to dive into this massive transformation they just pulled off, look at their growth runway, check out some new catalysts on the horizon, and then boil it all down to the 5 key reasons this thing scored so high. And of course, we'll wrap up with the risks and the final verdict.
Okay, let's get into it. How did this stock even pop up on our radar? Honestly, it was a super simple screen. We were on the MineStock Pro platform, just playing around on their valuations page, and we decided to sort all the stocks by their rating score.
And that's when we saw it. The number one stock on the list was Torex Gold. Now, this MineStock Pro rating, it's not just some random number. It's a proprietary score from 1 to 100 that crunches everything: cost efficiency, momentum, how big their operation is, their whole business model. Getting a 90 is just exceptional. It basically puts you in the top tier of the entire industry.
But here's the thing that made us literally stop scrolling and do a double take. The platform also flagged this number right next to that shiny 90 score, a price-to-cash flow multiple of just 3. 3! For the highest-rated company on the entire platform to have a multiple that low, I mean, that is almost unheard of. It just screams undervaluation.
And just to put that into perspective for you, your average gold miner, a decent one, trades for about 8 to 10 times its cash flow. Torex is trading at a third of that. Let that sink in. You're getting what the algorithm says is the best quality company for a bargain bin price. That's the holy grail for an investor.
So you gotta ask, what's the story here? How can a company be so good, yet so cheap? Well, it all comes down to this massive, nearly billion-dollar bet they made. A bet that is now paying off big time.
And you don't have to take my word for it. The CEO, Jody Kuzenko, put it perfectly. She said funding their new Media Luna mine almost entirely from cash they were already making is largely unheard of. And she's right. Think about that. They built a $950 million mine without having to issue a ton of new shares and dilute you, the shareholder, or take on a mountain of debt. That kind of financial discipline is incredibly rare.
And look, they didn't just pay for it. They absolutely nailed the execution. This timeline tells the whole story. They hit commercial production right on time in May 2025. But then, by the end of that same year, they were already running at 93% capacity. That's a full 6 months ahead of schedule. In the mining world, where delays are the norm, this is just world-class execution.
Okay, so they've proven they can execute, but what does that mean for the future? Well, this new Media Luna mine isn't the finish line. Nope, it's the starting gun. It's what transforms them from a solid company into a production powerhouse with a long growth runway ahead.
And you can see that jump right here. You've got 2025 as a transition year, but then bam, look at 2026. Production is guided to leap by 12 to 25%. And it's not a one-time thing. They're expecting to hold that high level of production steady for the next 5 years. And that's just based on the gold they've already got locked in as reserves.
So that's the base case. A solid 5 years of high-level production. But what happens after that? Well, this is where the story gets even more interesting. There's another whole layer of growth here. Torex has 3 completely separate catalysts in the pipeline that could keep this growth story going well into the 2030s.
Okay, let's run through them real quick. First, you've got Media Luna North. Think of it as a small, easy add-on deposit right next door. They'll just tie it into their existing mine, which means really cheap ounces starting at the end of 2026. Second, and this is a big one, is the Los Reyes project. This could be a whole new mine for them, and we're going to see the initial numbers on that mid-2026. And third, they're just constantly exploring around their main asset, looking for more gold to extend its life. So you've got near-term, medium-term, and long-term growth all lined up. All right, let's take a breath and pull all these pieces together.
We can now boil this entire story down into 5 crystal clear points. This is the why. This is the reason Torex scored that incredible 90 out of 100 on the MineStock Pro platform.
So here it is, the 5-point thesis. 1. They are a very low-cost producer, which means great margins. 2. Proven flawless execution. They say what they're going to do, and they do it ahead of schedule. 3. Clear visibility on future production growth. No guesswork needed. 4. They've now diversified into copper, which is a fantastic metal to be in right now. And the 5th, the cherry on top. You get all of that for a massively undervalued price. It's the perfect storm of quality and value.
Okay, now it can't all be sunshine and roses, right? No investment is a sure thing. So to be responsible, we have to look at the other side of the coin. What are the risks? What could potentially derail this story?
Well, there are a few key ones. First up, jurisdiction. 100% of their production comes from Mexico. That's a risk you have to be comfortable with. Second, they're currently a single asset producer. All their eggs are in one basket until that Los Reyes project gets built. Third, of course, they're at the mercy of gold and copper prices. If prices fall, so does their stock. And finally, execution. They've been great so far, but they have to keep delivering on these future projects. These are real risks you have to weigh.
But when you stack Torex up against some of the other high-quality names we follow, you can really see why it stands out. I mean, look at this. It's got the highest rating on the list, one of the lowest price-to-cash flow multiples, and its costs are right there with the best of them. You just don't find that combination of top-tier quality and deep, deep value very often.
So when you put it all together, Torex Gold just seems to check every single box you could want as an investor. You've got low costs, you've got proven execution, you have visible growth, they're returning capital to shareholders, and it's all wrapped up in a deeply undervalued package.
Which brings us to the big question, right? Torex is the opportunity we're looking at today. But how do you find the next #1 rated stock? How do you get ahead of the curve?
Well, the answer is you use the same tool we did. Remember at the beginning I mentioned that incredible deal? Well, here it is again. Head to MineStockPro.app right now. The first 100 users are going to get a completely free lifetime subscription. That's a $120 a year value, yours for free, forever. This is exactly how we found Torex Gold, and trust me, there are dozens more opportunities just like this waiting inside the platform.
And just before we sign off, the usual but very important disclaimer. Remember, everything we've talked about today is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is absolutely not financial advice. Mining stocks are super risky, so please, you have to do your own research and always talk to a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Be smart, be safe.